Introducing Minor Wisdom Quintet.
1, 2, a skidda-didda-doo.
Minor Wisdom.
Another week of quarantine. Oh, things are getting quite boring over here at the Minor household. I finally gave in and downloaded Minecraft for Ava after months of torturous need from her. I don't even know if that's the right way of saying it, but she was begging for some Minecraft, so I finally gave in, and there she is doing it right now on the iPad. She has been. It's actually kind of creative, I'm not going to lie. So it's not the worst thing in the world, although she's killing dolphins. That's this morning's fun. This week is going to be fun with Miss Terri Ismert. Terri was the teacher of Kelly Harkins and Matthew Peters, the last two guests on the Minor Wisdom podcast, and so I thought, why not have her on? She's been around for quite a while teaching theater, been at Spring Woods for a while. I don't mean to sound rude and age her, so I wanted to have her on. I've known Terri now for over 10 years because I met her when I was teaching with Pam Wilson at Morton Ranch High School, who was the guest I had prior to that. So it all comes full circle, and yes, I know that this has been this niche podcast has gotten even more niche by alienating everybody outside of the Houston area. So I promise to start branching out. I promise. But I thought thematically speaking, it makes sense to have Terri Ismert on this week. So let's hope I can get some good interviews outside of the Houston area. Terri did not mention in the interview and wanted to mention a couple things. One, she is a proud 2-year not graduate. She's a 2-year experience 2 years at Sam Houston State with Miss Maureen McIntyre, Miss Mac, and everybody has amazing things to say about Miss Mac. She was kind of crazy when she was teaching at Sam Houston State, but in a good crazy kind of way, in a Carolyn Boone crazy kind of way, because I think most people loved Carolyn Boone as well at the University of Houston. But Maureen McIntyre, I had her for a semester when I was at Sam Houston State, when I made that mistake for a semester, first semester out of high school. But I did have Maureen, Miss Mac, and my wife graduated from Sam Houston, so she had Miss Mac. So there's a lot of Miss Mac love coming from this side of the podcast. And so Miss Ismert, Terri, wanted me to mention that she also just thought Miss Mac was the most awesome director that she had ever had. She didn't say ever had, but I'm going to put words in her mouth. The other thing that she didn't mention, just because we didn't really get into too much about what's going on right now with the quarantining and all the coronavirus, but she is making masks. She's spending her time sewing, and you'll hear actually in the interview talking about how she was a costumer on tour, and so that's just kind of up her alley to make these masks for people, and she is donating them to a nursing home that her father-in-law is at, and so she was just wanting to let you guys know that she's making masks. Maybe you can reach out to Terri if you need a mask and grab one yourself, but I'm sure she'd be happy to do it for you. I do apologize. This interview is weird from my end, only because the microphone was on the computer, and the microphone was on that I'm speaking to in right now. So speaking to you in right now. So I apologize that I sound weird. Terri sounds just fine through the powers of Zoom, but I sound a little weird, so it might take some getting used to. I promise that's not going to happen again. I really don't know why both microphones were on, but hey, we'll just blame it on Steve Jobs, RIP too soon. Anyway, I hope everybody's doing doing well, and we're almost in it's gonna be May. We're almost in the month of May. This week is Justin Timberlake's week, baby. And it's also my birthday week, so, happy birthday to me. I get to stay at home, yay. Hopefully a huge announcement is coming next week, if not the week after that, from my end of things I'm very excited about. And that is about it for me. Everybody enjoy this week's Groner joke. What has more lives than a cat? A frog. It croaks every day.
Well, hello, Blake. Thank you for having me here. I am a native Houstonian. I started out in the Houston ISD public school system and went through elementary school, middle school, and high school. I did choir and theater throughout. Had amazing theater and choir teachers in high school, Miss Grant and Miss Schuler. And I props out to them for inspiring my love of theater at an early age. They're both amazing women. My parents saw that I loved theater early on, so they let me go to the Windmill Dinner Theater, where I saw Ava Gabor in Blythe's Spirit, Carol Channing live, all sorts of different things for like a 12-year-old. It was pretty exciting to get to go see all that. Anyway, I got my degree at Houston Baptist and my master's at Southwest Texas or Texas State. Yeah. And I worked, I did a couple of tours in costuming and worked at the Shakespeare at U of H. And then I went kind of like you did on a tour, came back and had a job in Spring Branch. Right. They said, hey, we need a job in the middle school. Can you come in? And I went and taught at Memorial Middle School for a year. And then got the job at Spring Woods. Wow. And I've been there ever since.
Wow. When was that, if you don't mind me aging you a little bit?
Oh, no, that's fine. I skipped a year.
Okay.
In 1984 and 85 was my very first year of teaching. And my first day of teaching, my mother passed away.
Okay.
And so that year is kind of a blur.
Wow.
I was in George West, Texas, which is in the middle of deep South Texas. Sure. And it was a rough year. I think, it was probably what it was supposed to be. But then when I moved back to Houston and got the job at Memorial for a year, 85, 86. And then my first year at Spring Woods was 86, 87.
Okay. Wow.
And so
like we were just talking off the record, but coincidentally, the last two people I interviewed are graduates of your program. So that's partially why I said, well, and to be fair, I would have asked you to be on regardless, but that's definitely a catalyst that got me to get you on now. But you and I have kind of been friendly for the last 10 years or so, I think because of Pam Wilson. So now the last 3 interviews have a tie to Terri. So
well, we're all tied together.
We are, yes.
All the theater people are tied together.
Yes, that's true. So and that's good. It makes our community small, but it also makes it small. So we all know everybody. So that's good.
Right.
So you've been at Spring Woods now for 30 plus years. Yeah.
Yes.
And you have a lot of history there. A lot of students have come through there, some very famous that we've all heard of, some famous but we've never heard of them. Do you have a kid, and I don't necessarily need you to say their name, you can maybe say what they did or something, but do you have a kid that you thought, oh my gosh, this kid's just going to blow up and be amazing, and then maybe went a different path? Didn't necessarily fail, but went off to be a lawyer or, work in sales or something to that effect.
Well, yeah, I had, there's been a lot of kids that have done that, gone into theater and then turned around and become like nurses or become fund managers.
You thought could have been the next big
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, could have. And then they've turned out to be like, we have somebody that's raises money for the Houstonian Foundation and does all this really philanthropic stuff in town. And I'm really proud of those kids too, because what they learned in theater, they've carried on.
Right.
We do something very unique in theater, providing a very unique world for them to where they can learn to work with one another and really care about the whole rather than just themselves.
What about the opposite side? The kid that you didn't think was going to be a massive star and then ended up going
Oh,
out
well,
and finding
you know.
themselves and blowing up.
Oh my gosh. I don't have a Renee Zellweger like Rachel has.
Yeah.
I don't have one.
Yeah, sure.
I'm really excited that they're all doing well.
Yeah.
I can't think of anybody. I'm sorry. I'm trying to think of somebody.
Have you been thanked or given credit to in a famous speech of any sort? I mean,
Someone set you up to tell me that.
No, I swear.
Okay, it is the biggest running joke with the director of my generation.
I swear. No, I don't do the
No,
famous thing.
really.
I don't do research for my podcast. It's
Oh my gosh, Blake, that's hilarious. Okay, never once in a Tommy Tune thank you speech has my name been mentioned. In all the 5 times that somebody's won something, never once have they ever mentioned my name or Ann's name.
Yeah.
Or any, and we were always like, well, it's okay. I'm glad they won, but that's odd. And so no, people, no, nobody's ever said my name, but I want somebody to one day.
What about like a bigger award, Emmys or anything like that? I mean, you've had some pretty infamous. You've had some very famous graduates that have gone on to win things. Do you know of your name being mentioned in one of those?
Oh, well, yeah. Well, Brandon Saunier, he always talks about me in print, which is really nice.
Okay, that's cool.
He's producing LA's Finest, and he was right around the blacklist. He came in as a freshman. He goes, I want to be a film director in Los Angeles. And I was like, okay. And that is exactly what he did.
Right.
He worked and worked and worked and worked, and then he's out there doing that.
Where did he go to school? Do you know? Do you remember?
Yeah, he went to the GT 109 program at University of USC, maybe.
Okay.
It's a very nice film school out there.
Yeah. That's funny. I just had a student ask me if I had any recommendations on good film schools, and I had a couple, but I'm not a film director, so it was like it's not what you ask a theater teacher all the time is what film schools can I go to, but
right. Well, you might talk to Brandon.
Yeah.
He and Kelly are peers.
So speaking of Kelly, you guys run the comedy sports thing at your school, right? At Springwoods.
Yes, we do.
Why is Kelly so bad at it? I'm kidding.
Oh man, I mean that guy timing.
Yeah.
No, it's just
He's always saying no.
Anger management.
Yeah, right. That's funny. So, what is? Do you repeat shows? That's a weird question, but do you repeat your musicals and such? Like, do you have a cyclical?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Sometimes, every now and then. I think we've done Sound of Music twice.
Okay.
Kelly and Luke shared the role of the Captain Von Trapp. Luke Fidel. He's also in theater in Houston.
Yeah.
They shared the role of Captain Von Trapp. We've done that. I've done what is it? Once on This Island.
Okay.
Twice. Otherwise I haven't.
So
Copy.
the reason I ask is because I kind of knew the answer to the question that you don't repeat a lot of your musicals. Do you find that to be do you enjoy the process of having to search for something that's going to cater to the audience, cater to the community, that's going to use the kids that you have, all that kind of stuff? Is that something that kind of keeps your adrenaline going when it comes to choosing a season?
Absolutely. And I think that too. You got to be a few years out on choosing what you're you look at your kids, you see who you've got coming up, you see what you've got, you look at your community and you decide, hey, what will work this year?
Yeah.
And it can be you can be looking at 4 different shows, but then one will become the obvious choice based on, everything you've seen happen over the course of the year or the course of the last 2 years. But yeah, I love the hunt.
Yeah.
I love it. I love the looking for shows and then looking at the kids and looking at myself, my, person I work with, everything. I love it.
What's the most obscure musical you've ever done? Do you have one? Can't say Oklahoma or something.
Well, I think maybe that I didn't know very well was State Fair.
Okay.
It's a Rodgers and Hammerstein piece. And that was pretty obscure. Oh, and my name is Alice.
Oh yeah, I did that. I did that at HSPVA. I was,
Yeah.
it's 5 women, right?
Right.
Well,
What did you play?
Exactly. Bob Singleton had this amazing idea to the male roles that the women played. He wanted to be a male, so I played that male. Yeah. So I was like the construction worker. I was like the love interest of one of them, like in an apartment setting. The construction worker was the best one because as non-PC as it is now, he's hooting and hollering at these women walking by, and it was just real fun to play that kind of stereotypical chauvinist, I guess. So, yeah, My Name is Alice. You did that as a full school musical, or you just did that as kind of a smaller one?
I did that as a full school musical, one of the first musicals I ever did, and Ann Yancey was in it.
Oh, yeah?
As my student.
Wow.
She was in it.
Wow. That's funny.
I know.
What is more gratifying to you, having a student that has gone on into the professional world and succeeded, or having a student be a successful educator and director?
Wow. Can't we celebrate it all?
We can. But
We can celebrate it all.
What keeps...
But knowing that they're all out there, or that they're out there and doing well and enjoying whatever it is they're doing, whether they're nursing or whether they're, on tour or whatever, it makes me happy. And the fact that they, our music director, Rick Keith, who's amazing, said to me the other day that he visited with one of his friends that he was in the high school musical with, a high school musical. And he goes, and this guy's like big businessman, all, and you know what they talked about? The high school musical they were in.
Yeah.
They didn't talk about anything else.
Right.
They didn't talk about the jet plane or the fact that he's a music minister or whatever. They talked about their high school musical.
Yeah.
And I think what we do as educators is create family and create moments and create time that, propels our kids to whatever it is they're going to do in the future. And, I would be lying if I didn't say that all the kids out there teaching, all the grown men and women out there teaching, sorry, they're not kids, but all mine,
to you, I get that.
They'll always be,
Yeah. What is it? Good.
No, go ahead.
I was going to ask you, what's something you still want to work on even after all these years?
Well, the kids promised me the Les Mis reunion. One day I want to do that.
Yeah.
I would love to do, I don't know.
We talked about did I talk about Les Mis with Matt?
No, he wants to direct it. He should. It's, but he's right. You have to have all of those people. And that year, we had it. Hands down, we had all of them, which is rare.
Yeah. Yeah.
That you have.
I was going to say, Kathy Padrell just posted a video on Facebook, I think, a memory of when they performed Les Mis at the Tommy Tunes, and her Javert was a massive man. I was like, that's that's what you got to have. You can't have a 4'6" boy come out and sing that part, or not Javert, Jean Valjean,
Well, and that was, oh my gosh, I love that show.
Yeah.
Anyway.
When did you
hard.
do it?
2002, 2003. It was the first year of the Tommy Tune Awards.
Okay. And they
very
want to,
first.
and you're trying to get them to come back and do a reunion version of it, or just
one day,
do something? One day more. Yeah.
No, but I would love it. We always joked and said that, and I was talking to a few of the kids the other day, and I said, well, we should do that show, that encore show or whatever, and have y'all come back, and they go, yeah, that'd be fine, but it would be good.
Yeah.
So, we wouldn't be a mess. It would sound great. I was like, I love y'all's attitude, my little cast. Y'all are fabulous.
That's pretty funny. So you mentioned you went to Lee, now Wisdom High School, right?
Yes.
Pull something from your time in high school that you still hold on to as an educator, 30 years later, that you still hold on to that teaching, that philosophy, and pull that into your classroom. or on
Wow.
stage?
Right. Well, basically, my choir teacher, Miss Grant, and my theater teacher, Miss Schuler, both had the fake it till you make it attitude,
Mhm.
where you just smile and you keep going and you say, I nailed it. Now, Kelly does that too,
Mhm.
but I mean, you gotta just keep going, and you gotta take your own ego out of it and just keep going and keep performing. And I think that's really important,
Yeah.
to, for, I don't know, being on stage,
Yeah. No, that's
it's
good.
not.
Did you, before the comedy sports stuff happened, right in our world, because you were teaching before that, did you have an improv troupe, or did you have any semblance of an improv group?
Well, when I started at Memorial Middle, I was the assistant to Clara Reimers, and she had Reimers Mimers.
Nice.
And so she had a mime troupe that I assisted with. And then the next year we started kind of like a mime troupe too at Springwood. So we had that for about 10 years.
Mhm.
And we did like little vignettes. We did all sorts of, but it wasn't comedy sports. It was more like mime.
Right.
But, and then we went out to, my favorite with the mime troupe is we were having a rehearsal on the Miller Outdoor Theater stage, just the front part that's available. And we were doing a scene where somebody was digging around and looking for things, and this guy that was sitting in the audience comes up and he goes, that doesn't look real. Let me show you how to dig through something. And he got up and he was like working with the kids. And I was like, wow, this is just,
Only there would you get that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fun. Oh,
It's like a
there's my
great
daughter.
moment.
So speaking of keeping people entertained, what have you been doing to keep yourself entertained during these unique times as an educator?
Wow, you should see my yard.
It's immaculate.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
The neighbors are probably like, what happened? Where,
Yeah.
what? I put lights on my house. I've put hanging baskets in the back. Done a lot of, trying to figure out its learning and all the different things we're supposed to be doing. But basically, my husband and I haven't killed each other.
Yeah.
We're good. The house looks fabulous, and I've done some reading and stuff, looking at plays.
So have you found, and I think I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask anyway, have you found that you're getting some kids that never engaged in class starting to engage because it's kind of this online, they can do it at their own pace format?
Right. Well, we were going into the end of the year Shakespeare, where we do sword fighting.
Sure.
And we study Romeo and Juliet, and we just had all our swords delivered. We had like 20 swords delivered. We're so excited that we were going to actually get to work with that instead of bamboo sticks this year. And so we've done a lot of like visual, some visual things where you're visualizing like the prologue and then creating an art piece, things like that. I'm so surprised some of the kids turned in. I haven't gotten hardly any work from some of them, and then poof, they're like superstars.
What are you having them do now?
Right now, my advanced classes are doing a duet acting scene with somebody from their family.
Oh, nice.
At home.
Okay.
And I sent them, some, and I said, I don't really care about memorization so much as creativity and characterization.
Okay.
And, and so we'll see. I mean, I have another project after that, but it's been kind of hard to get started.
Are they doing weekly type projects? Yeah.
Yes. They did a first responders monologue. They did a personal like monologue about how they're feeling, and they recorded them and posted them, and then they're doing this duet scene.
Okay.
And the musicals. I don't teach musical theater, but they've got a big project going.
You guys have a musical theater class though?
Yes, Chrissy teaches it.
Okay. Have you always had that, or is that something somewhat new?
Ann Yancey started it.
Okay.
She taught it, and then now Chrissy teaches it.
Now, do you make that a mandatory thing to be in the musical, or no? Anybody can?
Oh no.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh no. You don't even have to be in theater to be in the musical,
Yeah.
but it's very rare that kids that aren't in theater. It's kind of like you were saying about doing some scouting. It's like, well,
Yeah.
you go looking for kids who might work, in theater.
We keep talking about musicals, but like, what are some of the, well, I don't want to say fall shows, that's what we call them, but your straight plays, your you're just regular old run-of-the-mill plays. What are some of your favorite ones that you've done, and what was it about that show that stood out to you?
Oh my gosh, I will have to go back to Awake and Sing
Okay.
and The White Rose.
Okay.
Those are all plays that, probably because, Awake and Sing, well, both of them really, really touch you. And really, The White Rose, we did a lot of research on Sophie Scholl and the movement against the Nazis during that time. And it was just, it was pretty impeccable. We had a performance outside at your old high school in the little commons outdoor area. And I think that show, we did it for ourselves before we went in to do the show for competition at whatever area. And it was as though those people were alive out there on the patio. And I think that moment was so moving. And so we were kind of, we did fine inside, but I think the show was the one out on the patio.
Right.
The one.
Have you taken a full-length play that you've done on campus and years later cut it down to be your one act? As she thinks.
I tried that one year. Tried that one year. We were going to do a fall show, but I didn't like the fall show.
Okay.
And then maybe I don't know.
Not
it's a lot of years, Blake.
Yeah,
that's a lot of years.
I'm trying not to bring that up every time.
Oh, that's okay. That's all right.
That's funny.
But yeah, we did. Next year, you want to see our next year's season? That'll be exciting.
Yeah, I mean, is this
we're doing Christmas Carol.
Okay.
Followed by
version?
Guys and Dolls. No.
Okay.
Just play, and then followed by Guys and Dolls, and then we're doing Alice in Wonderland.
Okay.
And what's really funny is that I was in Alice in Wonderland in high school.
Oh, were you?
One act play.
Who were you?
I was the Duchess.
Okay. It sounds like you remember it well.
Well, then I played it again later in college too. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just typecast.
That's your role.
Baby with a bad attitude.
Yeah. Do you know if the kid? Well, you don't know this yet, I guess. But the kid that gets cast in that role, are you going to make sure that they know that's your part?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about it.
Yeah. Put the pressure on. It's funny because this year I was thrust into being in our play in The Great Gatsby because we had a student that played Tom failed out, so the kid that I replaced moved up to play Tom, and we just didn't have any other boys to play the part. So I ended up killing Gatsby and being the big moment in the show, and it was just kind of funny because the kids look at you completely different when you're right next to them on stage, So I think about that. It's like that kid might be intimidated, but at the same time, maybe they'll up their game a little bit if they know that, you're breathing down their neck saying that was me one day. That was back in the day. So
that was back in the day. I played this 2 times. I won awards in this role.
Yeah.
Get out of here. No.
Right.
We kind of started really building the program in 1999 when we qualified our first kids for nationals, and we went to nationals with one kid. And that year, Ann and I sat and watched the shows and went, "Oh, we got to bring a show to this thing. We have to not just come to it, but we have to bring a show."
Right.
Which we did in a year, or 2 years. We ended up with Les Mis there, and I remember we were sitting there. We didn't know anybody. I mean, at one of the evening dinner things, and we were like, "We're going to bring a show to nationals. We think we're going to do that." And they were all like, "Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead with your bad self." And so we were like, "Okay, we can do this." And so we did. We ended up bringing the Les Mis to state and then to nationals. And, we took it to the Hobby Center too. And those kids that were in there in that show, learned about so many things that you wouldn't have normally gotten to know about, that experience of going from your school to the hobby center to nationals, and how much rigor and how much
Yeah.
commitment you have to have for stuff like that. It's really, it's really important.
Do you think your time as a touring artist kind of set you up for that, help you out with that?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. And you need to have nerves of steel.
Yeah.
I remember we were all outside that theater in Wichita Falls.
Yeah.
And somebody said, the set's not here. Okay. And all of them started just. And I go, okay, guys, it's time for a nap. Everybody lay down right there. All of them, a puppy nap, go. Because the set was around the corner. The
Right.
people had it. They were having breakfast at like the Waffle House.
Right.
It just wasn't at the theater yet,
Right.
and they just had to calm down. And they were so cute, all laying there being calm. But I was like, how you go from 1 to 1,000
Yeah.
easily in theater, or 1 to 100. You're like, oh, everything's fine. And then, water's pouring on stage or whatever,
Right.
It's crazy.
Speaking of your time when you toured, what were you doing? What was your tour? What was your job?
I toured with English National Opera as a costumer, a
Okay.
backstage wardrobe person for about 3 months one summer, and then 3 months again another summer. And then I was
Where was it? Was that here in Europe?
It was America.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. And then I was the Capital City Playhouse. I was the resident costumer there for a few
Okay.
years while I was finishing my master's degree and doing my student teaching and everything.
Oh, wow. Okay. What's your master's in? Do I know that?
My master's is in education
Okay.
with focus in directing, but I also did some I've done costuming forever
Okay.
too on the side.
Right. Yeah, you don't want that out.
No.
Did you make those curtains behind you? No.
No, those came from. But I did hang them.
Is that a stained glass window?
It is a stained glass window. My friend Kim
Okay.
Renteria does stained glass around
There you
town.
go. There's a plug. Yeah.
Yeah, she does some really nice work.
That's really
Lighthouse Studios.
Okay.
Love what you do. Love theater and love your kids as much as possible. And on the darkest, most awful days, get out one of those notes a kid has written you.
Mm-hmm.
I have a little stack of them next to my desk. And if somebody comes in and is like, whatever, fill in the blank, I get one of them out and I'm like, okay, look at that. And then you just keep going.
Yeah.
Because it always gets better.
Yeah.
It might be as dark can be at 1 minute. And then, 3 hours later, you're back in the groove.
Right.
Minor Wisdom.